It's great to be in Paulding County. I was introduced to Paulding County several years ago. A friend of mine introduced me to cycling, and he said, we have got to cycle the Silver Comet Trail. I said, okay. He said, we're doing 30 miles. And back then, that was a lot of miles. I said, okay. So we get on our bikes, and of course, I'm looking at my odometer, just watching the miles going by, and then I just got caught up in the scenery. It was so gorgeous. And suddenly, I looked down, and it says 20 miles. Now, I'm not great at math. The last time I remember 20 and 20 is 40. I said, we're going 40 miles? I said, let's take a little break. So we got off the bikes, and I ended up behind the Paulding County Chamber. Who knew? So anyhow, it's great to be here. I'm going to talk today about building your business. Because let's face it, if we're not building our business, we're not really doing our job. Whether we're the business owner or whether we're the employee in a business. My father had an expression, and I don't know if it was original or not, but he said, sweetheart, money isn't everything, but it does rank right up there with oxygen. Okay, Dad, all right. And obviously, if you're going to grow your business, you need cash flow and you need money. But I want to look at what I call finding your twirl or refinding your twirl, your passion, your verb, what makes you want to get up in the morning, why you're doing what you want to do. I think that as business owners, we often start out because we're passionate about one aspect of the business. But suddenly we have to focus on the financial part, the operations, the marketing, the sales, and we're wearing all these hats and we lose that burn. So I want to look at how do you get that back so you can find your twirl. There's a fellow named Brad Sugars who started a coaching company called Action International. And he has a definition for a successful business, which I think is great. He says it's a commercial, profitable business that can work in time, and I like that word, profitable business, that can work in time, if you choose, without you. That's what I'm going for. So let me ask, how many of you here in this room are business owners? Oh. How many of you have been in business more than 5 years? Oh, wow. Give yourself a round of applause. Seriously, that's awesome. If you made it through the last 5 years, you can make it through anything. Seriously. How about employees? How many people work for business owners? Okay, great. So I'm going to address both roles. Obviously, we need both to make our worlds work. I want to start with a story. There was an experiment that was done where a violinist was asked to go into a Washington, D.C. metro station in January, very cold, during rush hours, and they were going to kind of observe what happened. This person was to play 6 Bach pieces, and they just kind of witnessed what happened. Rush hour and cold. And so he starts playing, and after a few minutes, somebody walks by, and they actually slow down, okay, and they're watching the violinist. A few minutes after that, a woman goes by pretty quickly. She doesn't slow down much, but she takes $1 out of her purse and throws it in his violin case, his first tip. A few minutes later, a middle-aged gentleman passes by, and he watches, and he actually leans back on the wall, and he's watching. Then he looks at his watch. Oops, he's late, and he rushes off. And then there's, a little bit later on, I like this one, there's a little kid, a 3-year-old, holding his mom's hand. And he's turning his head. He wants to stop. His mom's tugging him along. He really wants to stay and watch. And the whole time when she's pulling him away, his head is turned, looking at this violinist. And that happens several times with some young children. So within the 45-minute time, he played these 5 Bach pieces. 6 people actually stopped. 20 people gave him money, and he collected $32. And when he stopped, there was no fanfare. There was no great applause. He just went off, and everyone was back in their, rush hour traffic in the subway. Well, the interesting part of this story to me is that violinist was not an ordinary violinist. It was Joshua Bell, who is one of the most outstanding violinists in the whole world. And he was playing on a $3.5 million violin, some of the most arduous Bach pieces in the world. And the week before, he had actually played at a sold-out theater where tickets were $100 a piece. So it raises the question for me that do we perceive beauty when it's out of context? Or in our busy workaday world where we're texting and emailing and so busy in our families, do we even have time to notice hear the messages or the guidance or to find the gift in every moment? Do we have time to notice? So I want to give you 2 gifts. And if there's nothing else you remember in my talk, please take these 2 things away, because I know them for sure. The first one is, you are powerful. An employee can make or break a company. This I know for sure. Similarly, an owner and his or her vision and execution or lack of execution can make or break a company. You're powerful. And the other part is you make a difference. And I think we all have to decide, well, what kind of difference do I want to make? To be conscious about it. So let's start. Let's look first at, I call, mining your assets, rising above the rabble. Rabble, I mean the status quo, the ordinary. I don't know about you. I don't want to lead an ordinary life. I want to be remarkable. I want to be extraordinary and make a key difference. My mission or vision statement in my company is to create, and you'll understand this, extraordinary, memorable events at my venue. I don't want to create, pretty good, maybe they remember us, maybe they don't events. Extraordinary, memorable. And you know what, I think that, people say, oh, business isn't personal. Honestly, I think it's very personal. To me, I put my personal time, my energy, my creativity, my smarts. It's very personal. And it's not that it's personal. It's personal in the way that I want to achieve excellence, personal excellence, and not so much for the client, although I do, or my boss. If I had a boss, I want personal excellence for me. Because my biggest fear is I don't want to die feeling I haven't exercised my full potential. So personal excellence. I have a friend, she's a dancer, and she is on a mission to make sure all the kids in the country are moving, dancing, moving. Because we live in a culture, a country where, gosh, we're premium eaters and not such great movers. And so she goes into these schools, and it's interesting. She does this exercise where she said, okay, I want you all kids, I want you to stretch out your hands as far as you can. And schools and kids, and they're like, okay. She goes, no, I want you to stretch your hand. Oh, how far can you stretch it? Oh, what's your capability? What can you do? And I like to look at, what are the possibilities? What are the possibilities in our business? I hire people. I tell them, I said at all interviews, I say, I hire you to create solutions. And now my team comes to me. The other day, somebody came up, she said, first of all, well, Bibi, first I say, please don't present it as a problem, because I don't like problems, but if you present it as a challenge, that's a little bit more fun. And if you present a challenge, I need at least 2 or 3 solutions. And so that's what they've gotten used to do, looking at the possibilities. I call it possibility thinking when I write in the book that I write in the back, possibility thinking. And I think as entrepreneurs, and I know certainly when I was an artist, the creative process starts with this pile of stuff. And the wonderful part that I like is, how do you create something from that stuff? And I think it's important as business owners or as employees to, how do we keep that kind of culture going in our business? That it's, let's create cool stuff. What can we do? We're smart people. We're creative people. And I like to ask, if it could work, everybody, if it could work, what would it look like? And it's amazing how people start to think a little bit differently. And as entrepreneurs, you have to come up with new solutions. I'll tell you, people complain about the turn in the economy. It made me such a better business person. I didn't know what I didn't know. I do now. Also, the key to surrounding yourself with the right people. It's taken me 10 years in business to find the team. The team I have now, I think, can take me into the future. But there's been a huge learning curve. And are you the person you want to meet? I like to say, would I date myself? Some days yes, some days no. Are you the person you want to meet? And what's your story? What's your brand? Not just your company brand, but what's your personal brand? When you walk into a room, are people like, oh gosh, Joe, isn't he the greatest, man? He's just always has something great to say. He's positive. He's always shooting leads my way, asking about me. Or is it like, oh yeah, Donna's Donna, yeah, she's always negative, and not just your behaviors and your actions, but the way you present. In my company, I'm very particular. It's all about attention to detail. So I said, y'all need to be polished. And this is what polished looks. We live in a very casual culture. It doesn't mean flip-flops, no. We're dealing with brides here, corporate folks. How do you look polished? The way you talk. Now, if I had a skateboarding company, it would be different. You know, we'd go around in those little cute skirts, and we'd have our hair in pigtails, and, you know, wear green nail polish and say, yo! But that's not my business. I deal with brides, and I want them to spend a lot of money with me. Promise them a great event. So what's your story? What's your brand? Because you know what? The way you do anything is the way you do everything. If you're kind of sloppy at home and you're not good with the details, you're probably going to be the same at work. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. And I like to ask, too, how well do you know your audience? How well does your brand work with your audience? We learned something interesting when the economy shifted, and suddenly we had just as many leads coming in, but not as many people were coming to visit the venue. And I said to the sales team, well, what do you think it is? I said, I don't know. I said, why don't you go ask some of the brides why they're not coming back? And they did. And one woman said, well, you know, you don't give pricing on your website, and on the phone nobody would tell us, you know, even a range, so I'm not going to waste all the gas to come up there. What great information. So we started giving out more pricing, a range between this and this, and so we could qualify people and they could qualify us, and suddenly it all turned around. So how well do you know your audience? Are you in there asking them what they want? And this is one thing I found in terms of maybe developing my own personal brand, or even in my business. I found that if I want to help myself, if I help someone else first, it just comes back to me many times over. In fact, we have a new initiative at my business where every one of my key employees writes at least 5 letters of gratitude to somebody. It could be a customer or a prospect, but it could be a supplier. It could be anybody who we work with. And just to say, hey, thanks. You know, you're doing a great job. The deliveries are on time, and we really love working with you. Bob, great, thank you. And you know, when I need to ask Bob for a favor or to work with me, he's probably going to be a little more inclined to work with me because I was grateful for what he does instead of just asking for favors. And I do that. I was just talking with at the table that I don't look at other venues as competition. I want to get together and go, boy, if that date's booked for you, could you pass it my way? And I'd like to pass it your way. Or what ideas are working for you? There's so much business out there. It's about abundance, not scarcity. So I want to share this concept I learned I call it moving forward as if. When I was beginning Carl House, got this crazy idea. You know, I was an artist. I wasn't a business person. And I remember that I was borrowing, back when you could, a lot of money from me, like $1.5 million, which was a lot of money. And I was working on closing the loan. It looked really good. And I was under construction. You know, I was moving forward with all the work that had to be done, building a ballroom, gutted the whole place. But I realized I needed to have revenue coming in sooner rather than later. So I created this representative website that had a house with columns, looked like my house, photos of brides, food, all the things that I thought would attract them. And it did. And they came up. And this is what they saw. Construction in the front. Construction in the back. The ballroom wasn't finished. And I said, oh, wait, no, I have a dream. I have a vision. Trust me. And fortunately, they did trust me. But I had a real clear idea. I got a little scared, though, a little bit, because construction was slow because we had all this rain in the spring, and I had July 1st was the opening date. And the bank was kind of sluggish on approving the full loan, and I just, little panicky. So I thought, you know what? I am going to move forward as if I am going to be enormously successful, and I visualized those weddings, and any little Debbie Dowder who came in, I was like, la, 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 I can't hear you. I wouldn't do it. I knew what it looked like. I knew what the sign would look like out front. I knew what the logo and the grounds would look like. I envisioned what the ballroom would look like with gorgeous table settings and linens, and with people in the ballroom, smiling, laughing, having a great time. Brides and grooms waving at the top of the staircase, getting married in front of my fireplace, getting married outside, saying I do, kissing under the weeping willow tree that wasn't yet planted. You can't create what you don't dream of. And you don't have to have the whole thing figured out. You just need to move forward as is. Also, priorities are what you spend your time on. And often we say, well, it's a priority for me to get out and meet more people and build a business, and you're not doing it. Then just be real with yourself. Then it's not a priority. I know we have a zillion things that we go, this is all a priority. The priorities are the things you spend time on. Period. So, BB's School of Hard Knocks. All the stuff I learned, I call them my 7 lively spins for developing your business, as opposed to the 7 deadly sins. Every one I've committed times 4. Every deadly sin. So let me share with you the first and absolute importance of culture and vision in your company. As a business owner, you are the driver of the ship. You're the one taking the organization forward, and everybody needs to know what your vision is. You've got to keep it short and sweet. My first one was so long, nobody could remember it, including me. I narrowed it down to, bottom line, we create extraordinary, memorable events. But everyone in your organization, your customers, everyone needs to know what that is. That's what you stand by. Equally, I give out culture, value statements to everybody who we work with. We say, well, when we communicate, this is the communication, this is the way we communicate. It's playing a role. This is the part that you're playing. Or in our culture, we have a culture of abundance and gratitude, that we use systems in the business. Very specific things that I believe in. So when somebody is off that, maybe they communicate differently. It's not that they're bad or wrong. It's just, here, this is what you signed up for. So let's get back to this. The absolute importance of having that structure in your company. And second, this one was tough for me. I'm a free spirit person. I'm a big picture person. I don't like to write manuals. The processes, policies, and protocols, so important. Because I found that when I hired somebody and, we were learning all these things and get systems in place and it wasn't written down, and then they leave the company, there goes all my intellectual property. Oh gosh, what did we do before? Well, I forget. So writing it in a manual. And I tell people, hey, listen, let's not change the process until we talk about it. And, I'll approve it if I like it. But you've got to have consistency. That's why places like McDonald's are so successful. I know I can get an Egg McMuffin in Milwaukee. It'll probably taste like one in Atlanta. Maintaining professional relationships. I think as a small business owner, when you're working very closely with a team day in and day out, it's very easy to get a little too personal. And I know I did that in my company, and it wasn't fair to the employees. I'm not their friend. I'm friendly with them. But your employees aren't your friends. They are your employees. And just like a parent should parent a child and guide them, it's the same thing as an owner. And I think to keep that division, because it's not a democracy. I have the power to hire and fire. I also have my butt on the line every day. So just the importance of keeping those relationships separate. And creating an atmosphere of continual learning and creativity, and as the leader, to demonstrate that yourself, that you're constantly reinventing and questioning. I tell folks, please question everything I do. Question everything I do, and let's talk about it, because I bet you might have a better idea. An atmosphere of continual improvement and innovation. And know your numbers. I was so scared one time when I heard a financial person I have, and I said, how are we doing? Well, this month looks really good, BB. Good, but I want to know 6 months, a year ahead. I need to cash flow forecast. In my business, it's great because I know that May 17th in 2014, I'm going to have 200 people eating chicken beurre blanc with fresh seasonal vegetables and fresh risotto with some sparkly parsley on top in my ballroom. It's good. You need to know your numbers. And cash is king. I wish I had music for that. Have a reservoir. Let me tell you a story. I learned this one the hard way. 2008, every year I go on what I call a mind-expanding workshop, where I kind of expand my horizons of what's possible, and I want to learn new things. And I happened to go to France for 3 weeks, the longest time I was ever away. And in France, my eye was open to just new ways of doing things. I came back inspired in 2008, but I realized when I came back, everything had changed. Everything had changed. And I looked, and maybe it was with new lenses in my glasses, my payroll was out of sight. I had the wrong people in charge. I came back to a $42,000 septic issue. And the bank where I had my big loan was getting rid of all loans in the hospitality business and in Atlanta. And, if that's not enough, the 30 acres I was buying out back behind my place with a partner, my partner defaulted. I was a little tense. So I remember I was doing what I did every Sunday morning. I get up, it's about 6:30, and I pull my computer out, and I'm in my bed, and pull it open, and I'm working away, and I hear it's thundering and lightning outside. And I noticed my one dog ate his food, and he came around to the window because he's my devoted companion, and he's there. His name's Ernie, and he's looking in the window, and it's starting to rain, and I'm working away, and I could feel this anger boiling up in me. And it wasn't just anger, because I think anger can be healthy, but this was rage. It was hopeless, helpless, and powerless. And I could just feel it building up, and I'm working away, and I look at Ernie, and I go, "Get out of the rain, you idiot! What are you doing?" I mean, I'm becoming this other person. I'm yelling at my beloved dog. He has this wonderful place he can be under cover with little dog cushions. And at one point I picked up the computer and I threw it aside, and I threw it out, and I opened the door. Of course, he follows me around. I open it, and I said, I grew up with brothers. I know every cuss word under the sun, and I am letting it fly. I'm like, I'm yelling, and it's almost like I was having an out-of-body experience. I'm looking, I'm going, who is this crazy woman? Flipping out, and I come inside, and I'm pacing back and forth. I'm thinking, I don't know what else to do. I'm out of solutions. I couldn't remember any of my positive, possibility thinking, all that. And I'm back and forth and hyperventilating. It's how am I going to come up with the numbers? I don't know what else to do. And like a cliche, I fall to the ground, crying. I'm like, God, please help me. I don't know what else to do. I am lost. What can I do? And the phone rings. When I've got one neighbor who lives way over there, and I've got one neighbor who lives way over there, they're the only ones with my telephone number and my alarm company. And I go, hello, this is BB. Hey, BB, honey, this is your neighbor, Carol, sweetheart. Everything okay over there? So embarrassed. And I said, oh, yeah, Carol, I'm so sorry. I was just kind of frustrated with Ernie. Oh, sweetheart, that's okay. We just heard a whole bunch of screaming. Oh, Carol, I'm so sorry about my language. Oh, honey, we didn't hear anything, just a bunch of thunder. And listen, sweetheart, if you need anything, honey, we're here. If you need anything, we're here. All you need to do is ask. The next week, I was able to negotiate with my bank to extend the loan. I shifted some employees. We resolved the septic issue. The bank, I needed some additional income, and I went for another loan. And everybody said, you will never get a loan in this climate. Why in heaven's name would I ever create a goal without the thought of accomplishing it? I got the loan. So the big thing that taught me was that, when you're lost, just ask. There are people, there are resources out there to help you. And how can you play to your passion and your employees' passion at all costs to get all these things in line? And please fire the people who are not supporting you or your vision. I want to end with a story I wrote. It's called Tiny Tips of Wisdom for the Small Business Owner. And it's called The People You'll Hire. The People You'll Hire. Starting a business can be all kinds of fun. You get to do what you want because it's your place to run. You buy office supplies and set up your desk. You buy a phone system. Feel incredibly blessed. At first it's exciting and new and so grand. You have an opening party and hire a band. There's so much to do. Where do you begin? You put ads in the paper and a sign at your door and wait for the action to dribble and pour, and soon people are calling. Your dream has come true. You don't work for a boss. Folks ask for you. But in time you are doing 2 jobs, not just one. Your days are all evening and you don't see the sun. Your cat and your dog find you're never at home, and your neighbors all wonder if you've decided to roam. Because you're always at work wearing too many hats. And the fun that was started has now turned its back. You manufacture your product, deliver the goods. You talk to customers, try to act like you should. But you're tired and weary and have forgotten why you started this business. And you begin to cry. I can't do this alone. Was I out of my mind? Then a thought hits you. It's help I must find. You put an ad in the paper to find help for your biz, and dozens of folks call with 14 named Liz. Goodness, how do I find the very best fit? I've never done hiring. And your brow starts to knit. Finding the best person's a challenge indeed. So you ask all your friends, try to find a good lead. So Sally is hired and seems steady and sure. Though soon you learn you're doing all the work and not her. So you decide to hire based on who interviews best. Though in time learn Loretta's unskilled and the pest. How will I find the right person, you ask? Oh, I'll ask other owners who've gone through the task. Stan says to look where they've worked before, and Marcy declares it's years in the business for her. And Keisha feels that community service is key, though Mia feels it's their eyes you must see. And Josh hires only his friends from the church, and Sasha claims her astrology works. So Ron comes on board because he's skilled in all things, but becomes bossy and rude and wants to be king. And with each new employee, you learn something new. Oh, how to ask better questions. You're getting a clue. Tony seemed perfect, skilled, patient, and smart, though in time he was stealing, and it just broke your heart. Victor was kind and knew the struggles you faced. He seemed like an angel and could handle the pace, but soon he felt he should reap all the rewards, though took none of the risks. As an owner soon learns, with a growing biz and this turnover rate, you wonder mostly how soon we'll be terribly late. Because without the right help, your business won't grow. Oh, and you don't want to go back to a job and eat crow. Then a thought hits you like a brick in the head. I must hire more wisely. And forget what friends said. It's passion that made me want to go off on my own. And to hire, I must find a person who lives in that zone. And soon Grace is hired for her passion and smarts, for her understanding of why you're boss and she's not. She's great at her role and ready to work and able to flourish and enjoy some great perks. And it's she who will hire as we start to grow, as you're the keeper of the vision. It's this that you know. And you could never have gotten to where you are now without going through the steps, learning how to bring in the people who thrive on the fun in each position you have in the company you run. So remember that when at first you do hire, part of the process is who you're willing to fire. So, in closing, you're powerful. You make a difference. What kind of difference do you want to make? And a personal challenge to you. Who can you meet? Who can you share ideas with? Accept their goodwill? Discover your brand and find your twirl. And as soon as you found your twirl, go help somebody else find theirs. Thank you very much.